afternoon. How are you all doing? I'd like to welcome you all to the November 2013 meeting of the Pitt County Board of Social Services. I'd like to take a moment for silent prayer or meditation. Okay. I'd like to just remind our listeners and people in Pitt County that we do have a segment that we've set aside for public comments. At this time, as I understand, nobody has signed up to address the board. Again, I'd like to say this is a time when you're able to address the board and bring out your concerns. I'd like to get a motion on today's agenda.
I move the approval of the agenda as presented, Mr. Chairman.
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Next, I'd like to get a motion on the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chairman, under the adopt or revise the agenda from the October 14th minutes, it, I believe, should be Sylvia Johnson rather than Sylvia Williams.
And it didn't happen at that time either. It was later in the session. Isn't minutes supposed to reflect what really happened?
It happened later?
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
questioning the time. I'm just
Okay.
saying that
The name?
the name Sylvia Williams to Sylvia Johnson.
Okay. All right, we should do that. And you're saying, did it happen later?
It happened later in the meeting. It happened just before we were about to adjourn during the closed session.
Okay.
Before we went into closed
Mr.
session.
Chairman, after the corrections of the minutes, I move that we approve.
With the correction, I second it.
Okay. Motion has been made with the corrections. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Let's see, we also need to get a motion on the minutes of the called meeting.
I'd like to make the motion.
I second the motion,
With-
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
that we approve.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Next, we're going to move to the matters which require board action, and we'll turn this over to P.J. Quinn.
Yes, sir. I'll do all three of the budget amendments. We received $8,276 from the Duke Energy Endowment Fund, and this came about because the two, Duke and the other company, merged together, and they, as part of their settlement for merging, this was our portion, the $8,000. We also received an increase in daycare funding of $196,189, and we also received a grant called Women to Women Grant for $1,200, and I believe someone is going to explain that to you in the next part of the meeting.
Okay. I'd like to ask about that merger, because I know it was a little, at parts contentious. I was just wondering how we got part of that settlement.
When they sent us the money, they didn't tell us how they did the arithmetic to decide who got what, which counties got how much, but I think it had to do with how many customers were in our county that they were serving at the time of the merger, which we have very few customers, I think maybe two, that actually.
$8,000 worth, so that's.
Yeah, but
that's
how
good.
they came up with it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that
No, I
it.
was just
Yeah.
wondering, I thought that was further west, and I was just wondering how that
Like
affected us.
Like I said, it's because we have a few clients that are eligible for it.
Oh.
But
I'd like to ask on the $196,000, what age group was that in child care? Was that
What,
be used for?
Sir, it was what we call our regular child care subsidy. And what it amounted to was, in February, they give us a budgeting number, and then when the year starts, they give us an actual funding authorization. And this $196,000 was that much above what our February number was. But it's for all the ages that we take care of.
In other words, you
0
won't
to 8.
move it up above 8 years of age.
No, no, sir. In fact, it's still less money than we had last year.
Right,
It's
so,
not, it's just 196 more than we thought.
and while I'm on that, how are we stacking up as far as that childcare, money-wise?
We're well within the program at this time. There's no
Okay.
problems with us overspending at all this year.
Was this money we were expecting, or?
No, sir, not really expecting, because when, like I said, in February, they give you, the state gives you funding, they give you budget estimates that they think they're gonna be able to fund you for this year, and this was over and above that. We were expecting what they had given us in the February numbers. So,
So how will this affect childcare that we?
well, it just allows us to continue serving at the level we are, and we've put on about 100 and almost 200 children this year, and it allows us to continue to serve the work first clients that need daycare and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Could we request additional funds for child care? You know, we've done that in the past, and at times they do help us out with additional money. Of course, they probably help everybody out, but.
Yeah, well, actually, they do, and what happens is, the state looks at how the spending is all around the state for every county, and if there's a county that's not spending their money, they'll take that money back and give it to a county that's overspending. And currently, we're not overspending, we're okay, so I think that we wouldn't be asking for any more at this point in time. And the other issue would be, we're getting so far into the year now that you really won't be able to put a lot of more children on in order to continue into next year. We have to stay in the funding we are.
And we'll be getting an explanation of the women-to-women grant.
Yes, sir.
And after you finish. Okay. I'd like to hear a motion on the budget matters that we've just discussed.
Move to accept.
Second motion is that on all three
Yes, sir.
budget
All
three.
amendments?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
I second the motion, Mr.
Right.
Chairman.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. And next up, we have reports to the board, and this will be Susan Butler, Minerva Freeman, and Leslie Parker. And they're gonna tell us how we got this extra money, which we always love to hear.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Enjoyed the lunch very much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Are you bringing next week?
Only, yeah, upon request. It just depends if you want more lasagna. No. Mr. James, Sue and I heard you a little bit earlier about sleep, whether or not it affects you in your middle age or your young age or
Old age.
senior age. But I would say that it depends. It all depends. But we're here today to tell you about a really exciting program that I've teamed up with Vidant Medical Center and also the Health Department with Miss Minerva Freeman, who is not here today. But Sue Butler who's a clinical nurse over at Vidant. So we're really excited about this program. I know that some of you have the opportunity to get an idea in your head. And I have the great pleasure of serving the residents of Pitt County and its community and child protective services. And I had the privilege to work with Vidant Medical Health, and so actually got an idea of the kinds of cases that we were seeing over there. And the one thing that we were real concerned about, and Pitt County Board at DSS has also been concerned about, was the number of infant deaths. When we look at our fatality reviews and we go and look at our numbers, and also SIDS deaths, and also what we call rollover deaths, and we've had those. And unfortunately, since 2009, they have been on the rise. So my idea came, bassinets for babies, because we thought that it was very important for young couples, especially high-risk moms, to understand that you don't sleep with your child in the bed. but you have a bassinet to the side of the bed that you can put your child in to make sure that that baby is having what we call safe sleep. And it was when I was involved in a couple of my cases, I realized that the importance of telling parents to not to co-sleep with their children, especially the infants, and to make sure that they're safe in a pack and play, I call it, or either a bassinet. And I know I was hustling sometimes just to go around Salvation Army and stuff just to find a bassinet for a high-risk mom, because that's how important I knew it was, and this is how important this work is. So I wanted to tell you just for a minute about Women for Women. It is a nonprofit organization here in Greenville made up of several hundred women, and they do the purse lunch every spring at the convention center. They have celebrity speakers and different speakers that come in nationally that talk about their passion. And went ahead and asked for the grant in August, and unfortunately we had a rollover death in August. And I asked for bassinets and pack and plays, and what I got was $1,200, and that will cover the pack and plays, which I'm just delighted. And I did speak with Walmart, because that's where I'm going to make the purchase, and they have agreed to give us a card, a Walmart card, every month to go ahead and use as we wish, whether we need to go ahead and do a pack and play, or we've also identified as a committee sleep sacks, which, as you know, the sleep sacks zip up, and then that way the baby's not surrounded by the blanket, and there won't be any asphyxiation or any kind of suffocation. The baby would just be in a sleep sack and would sleep on its back, as far as preventing SIDS death as well. So we're looking at rollover deaths, and we're talking about prevention of SIDS as well. So we're just delighted that we can move forward. I gathered my committee, Ms. Sue Butler, who I'll introduce in a few minutes, and I don't think Ms. Freeman's here, but like I said, she's at the health department. And I'm going to defer back over to Sue.
Thank you. I am a clinical nurse specialist at Vidant Medical Center, and I also serve on the Child Fatality Prevention Task Force. And we review these deaths a year later. And we were seeing an increase of rollover deaths or sudden unexpected infant death, not SIDS, but SUD, sudden unexpected infant death. And we as a group started talking about it. Leslie was talking about it. Injury prevention was talking about it. So all of us kind of got together and decided this is something that's really important to Pitt County as well as North Carolina. I also serve on the Healthy Start Foundation Board for Safe Sleep, North Carolina board. So this is just not Pitt County, it's all of North Carolina. And I also have been reading a lot on this recently because it's such an increase here. It is a national problem. More people are beginning to sleep with their kids. And in some circumstances, sleeping with your kid or with your baby can be fairly safe if you're breastfeeding. In fact, it does decrease the risk. But if you are obese or bottle feeding, or if you use any type of drugs or alcohol, that increases your risk tremendously. So one of the assessment things that we're going to look at for these pack and plays that we're going to be giving away are the highest risk people. We haven't completely defined exactly who we're going to give them to, but it will be the highest risk people, the ones I just talked about. People, we have two of the kids that we reviewed for the infant fatality task force. Two of them, parents were on methadone treatment. So, we know in Pitt County they are at risk. Obese mothers that are bottle feeding would be at risk. People who cannot afford a bed would be at high risk. One of the fatalities that we had that was an overlie actually was sleeping on the floor on bed. They were sofa cushions that they had put on the floor to sleep, and the baby had gotten in between the cushions and suffocated. So that's the things that we want to eliminate, especially here in Pitt County.
It's just a very important topic and seems to be very timely. Are there changes in the society or things that you feel are leading to this increase of infant deaths from sleeping?
Well, this change is more people are beginning to co-bed again and sleep with their children. I call it an earthy thing. As we are beginning to breastfeed more or want to be with our babies, some of it is economical. Some people can't afford, a bed, but it is an increase, and it's a national increase. And I just read an article, and it's only just one article, that says that it is an increase throughout the world. So.
I remember very well, we had 3 sons, and when they got sick, I needed rest, I needed sleep myself, and my wife did, so we just let the little baby, sleep with us, and I imagine they still do that.
They do. A lot of parents will bring the baby to bed, especially if they're breastfeeding. And like I said, breastfeeding is not protective of overlap, but it is. Less babies die that are breastfeeding from SIDS, period. So there is a little protection there, but they're not completely immune. So, there's a campaign going now. Do we try to start teaching these parents how to try to, as safely as they can, sleep with their kid? If you think about your bed at home, your bed at home is soft, it's fluffy, it's full of blankets and comforters and pillows. All of those things are a suffocation risk for a baby. A baby's crib is, a firm mattress without the pillows, without the comforters, without the bumper pads. It's the safest place. So if you can make your bed as close to that baby's bed, environment, then, would it be safe? Probably not, but would it be safer than not teaching the parents, about taking the extra clutter out of their own bed?
What % of you think of newborn babies don't have a crib to sleep in? I know you got them.
I don't have
Man,
any
you got a
stats.
lot of them that don't have a crib.
There's a lot that don't.
I know that to be a fact, so that in itself,
I'd like to know the difference, since the increase of sleep deaths is rising, is it rising proportionate to the unemployment and the lack of work or the increase of population? Or are there any statistics that show some justification?
It's in all socioeconomic statuses. It's not in any particular.
That's what I was curious about.
I had a case at the hospital, and the parents were in bed, and she was breastfeeding, and she fell asleep. And the next thing they know, they heard the baby on the floor, on its back, crying. So that's why we say to them, it's a good thing to nurse, but if you've got a bassinet, stay awake and put the baby in the bassinet or the packing place. That's the safest place of the baby.
And the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that the baby sleep in close proximity of the parents, but in their own sleep environment.
Well, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
presentation. It's really, hopefully, Pitt County will listen to that and be able to use that. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming and talking with us.
Thank you.
I want to say this. I think there's a lot of baby cribs that are sitting up in the attic in various places that are not being used, and a lot of them would like to get rid of them. I know I got one out in my place that's been there for years, and it's really a good one, but it's just there. And I bet you have probably hundreds of them in Pitt County.
So would you accept Eugene James' baby crib?
I didn't say that. I didn't say it, but I'm
That's
just,
not you, that's you.
I'm just saying that is one thing that you could let be known, that
Well, the
look,
problem with older cribs is they have drop sides.
I
So
know.
we don't recommend using the drop sides anymore. And if the slats are too far apart, they're supposed to be 2 3/4 inch, or a soda can. If a soda can can go through the slats, they're too far apart.
yeah, and I
So,
realize.
that, like, infant car seats, if they're greater than 6 years old, you can't use them. So, cribs are kind of, if there's not a particular year, but if they have the drop sides, we don't recommend using them
I
anymore.
didn't know that.
With the pack and place, we
lot
are
of
gonna
things you don't
recommend, we are gonna recommend,
My baby's
family
all
members to recycle within the family. We are gonna recommend that.
Because the pack and place, are pretty darn safe. And a bassinet, kids kind of outgrow a bassinet once they start turning over, but a pack and play, they don't really outgrow until they can climb out of the darn thing, so,
It's kind of like a baby sleeping bag.
exactly. That sleep sack is,
And you can carry it with you wherever you go. So
Oh,
it's very
okay.
convenient. Yeah. pack.
Like to make a motion that we, that as the Board of Social Services for Pitt County, that we proclaim this as, wrong one. Next one. That's what's further down. Forget that. Just cut that out the tape, we'll do that later.
I gave out some brochures or
Yes.
some
Oh, yeah.
folders, and that is some of the sample of what we're going to give out with the pack and plays. It talks about safe sleep, it talks about women's health, it talks about not smoking, because smoking is a risk factor, and just some information. We try not to give them too much information because, it's too overwhelming, they won't read it, so we're trying to get the most bang for the buck.
Yeah, and our committee's meeting again this week, so we're going to refine that sample packet we gave you that are more conducive to what Pitt County's doing. So thank you very much.
And we have everything in Spanish, too.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
that's great.
And we appreciate all you're doing too for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
So they want these back.
You want,
Letter for you.
Yes, I was told, you want these back now?
okay.
She wants some of that.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Ross. I work with Department of Social Services in the Adult Services Unit, and we came here to talk with you today about our adult foster care project. We appreciate the opportunity to come each year and talk. It's a project and a thing that we're involved in annually, but many people out in the community are not aware that Pitt County Department of Social Services does serve as the legal guardian for many, many adults in our community. We have adults that are age 18 all the way up. I think I looked up and thinking about this presentation, I think our oldest ward right now is 95 years old. So we have a lot of people in our custody with varying ages and varying degrees of needs. Many of our individuals are living in mental health group homes, assisted care living facilities, nursing home facilities, and in each of those facilities, the type of assistance that they get and their own benefits go to the facility, which only allows them approximately $66 a month. And out of that, they have to pay their drug copays. Many seniors are on as many as 10, 12, 15 prescriptions, and you start adding up that, it can take away all of the money that's meant there and allowed in their benefits for deodorant, shampoo, socks, underwear. There is no benefit that makes sure that individuals have these things throughout the year. So for those individuals that we're guardian of, we try and help them at Christmas time to get these items and replace these items. For many of the adults, it's the only time they get new gowns, new socks in any institution. In my own home, my socks disappear. I don't know where they go. So these
The
have
dryer ate them.
these have 100 people's socks in them getting washed, and things don't always get back to the same people that they need to. We have individuals that are also developmentally delayed, and they have needs. They want Christmas just like children want Christmas. They have things that they want the same as anybody, and so this is the only time of year. The majority of individuals that we are serving as guardian of, it's because they either don't have family or they do have family somewhere in the community, but they're not able to serve as their guardian. So we are their family, and this is the opportunity for us to give back to them at Christmas time and help them. So what we ask for people in the community is to help them provide for some basic needs. How do I click that? The opportunities that we ask for anybody in the community, anybody on the board, is to consider sponsoring an individual or a couple individuals in a group home. You can do it as a family. You can choose to sponsor an individual. We even can help if your civic group wants an individual who they'd like to go visit and take the Christmas items to themselves. It can be a very rewarding thing for you and your family to share with somebody. So if that's something you're interested in, or your women's group, church group, any type of civic group that you're involved in would like to get together and spread that holiday cheer, some things as simple as a small Christmas tree that they can have in their room, and with some small decorations, a couple packages to open is it's very easy to meet their needs and make them happy. We can also accept general toiletry items, anything that would be more general. If you're not interested or not able this year to sponsor a whole individual, then just toiletry items, shavers, shaving cream, everything that you use on a daily basis, they can't afford. So this would be things that would be helpful, and we can supplement some of the other things, fill in, Christmas bags and things with those items. We also accept monetary donations if you would just like to make a contribution in any amount. That would help. We have a mailing address on the television for the viewers at home. They can mail it to Department of Social Services and make it out Attention Adult Foster Care. And then we also have 2 contact numbers for my 2 social workers that are adult home specialists, is Retta O'Quinn and Tammy Corbett. You can call them, ask them any questions you'd like about the project. If there's anybody specific, if you'd like to adopt or sponsor a young individual. We had a gentleman that an organization at ECU sponsored last year, and he wanted some PlayStation games, and they were able to get that for
Wanted
him.
what?
Some PlayStation games. We have gentlemen 18, 20, 21, 22. We have some that are still in the school system, and we had a sponsor that was able to get them, and he said it was the best Christmas. First time he'd ever had a Christmas tree at the facility that he was in. He'd never had that ever in his life. So we were able to give him a Christmas through the assistance of a sponsor. We were able to give him a Christmas that he hadn't ever had in his life. And he's 20 years old. And so we're hoping to continue. We'll have him for the rest of his life. So we're hoping to continue to make Christmas special for him. Yes.
I'd like to ask a question. Do you have a list of items, or how do you actually identify someone to adopt?
If you contact the 2 names that we have listed on the board, they have already, the facilities have provided us with the names of the individuals and the social workers that serve as guardian. We've gotten wish lists for each of them that has their clothing sizes. Specifically, I worked on one last night. We had a gentleman in his 30s, and he loves oatmeal raisin pies. So, we try and get very specific things that they want, just a snack. They have to eat whatever's offered to them 3 meals a day, and so every once in a while, they just like to have a snack in their room. So we have individualized list, and then either one of these 2 social workers could give you just some general items, depending on which way.
I have 2 comments. Number one, you had it from 18 to 95, I believe, the age that you were serving.
Yes, sir.
All right, how many do you have?
Last I knew, we were serving about 77, 78 wards in Pitt County right now. And
All right, in the data reflector, quite every week, it lists about all the churches that are in Pitt County.
yes, sir.
Why do you send those people a letter saying that we would like for you to sponsor? You're going to be surprised if you do, if you're not. Would you like to sponsor one of these individuals?
I will ask them. We have a list of individuals that we send out to every year.
I would say
different
send
organizations.
to every church in Pitt County.
Thank you, we will. We'll make sure that gets done.
Really, I'm very serious about this now.
I will.
Taking it because they want to help.
Yes,
A
sir.
lot of those do.
Okay.
And I think if you would send just a letter saying, we need help for these individuals, and we put the number that you have and the age that you have, just
Okay.
for that. I would, if you wanna, you would do that.
We will, sir.
All right, okay.
Make sure we get it done.
All right.
Great, Eugene.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay. That's good.
We send to every year, we send a bucket.
We're seeing you so much, Mildred, we're gonna make you an honorary member, and you get to have free lunch.
Well, I'll gladly accept, but I don't know if I'll be providing lunch. Might have to
Really?
call on somebody else when it gets to be my turn.
Did you bring donuts?
Maybe, and coffee.
Good.
A little bit of orange juice.
Hired.
Okay. Well, good afternoon to everyone. Today, I'd like to just give you a little bit of information about the children's program, the holiday cheer for the children. Currently, we have about 103. At the writing of this, we had 102 that we would be responsible for. We had a couple adopted and some to come on, so I think right now the stats are running at 103 children that we would have to provide holiday cheer for. And of course, we do ask that, you can contact us at the agency. You would send contributions, monetary contributions, or you can choose to sponsor a specific child by calling, and we will provide you a customized wish list, which would have all of the desires that that child wants for Christmas, as well as their clothing sizes, because some people do like to provide clothing, not just, toys and things that the kids want, but maybe some things that, we feel they may possibly need. You can also just do generic items such as, anything that you walk in a store that a child may want, which that's anything that's on the shelves. You can go in any toy store, you can go in Walmart, you can go anywhere that sells all the latest gadgets and all of that. So those are the things that we're asking for, for our children this year. You can contact us by sending your monetary contributions to the Pitt County Department of Social Services at 1717 West 5th Street, Greenville, North Carolina, with a zip of 27834, and make any checks or money orders payable to earmark them for the Foster Children's Christmas Fund, or just say foster children, and it would be deposited into our account that we use for the Christmas for foster children. If you have any questions or need more information, you can contact me, Mildred Daniels, at 252-902-1134, or anybody in child welfare, because everybody knows when you start talking about Christmas or when it gets September, you can see Mildred because she's starting to gas up the sleigh and get everybody ready so that we can have a good Christmas for all of our foster children. And I do say in advance to everyone that will be assisting us, I thank you for sharing the true meaning of giving with our children. And I say our children because we're responsible for making sure that they have a very happy holiday season. Are there any questions regarding that?
I think you need to do the same thing, and you all need to work
We do.
together.
We
pertaining
do, when a lot of people call into the agency, and I'm talking with them about, the different needs, I, let them know about my program and also about the adult services
Right.
program,
I think that's
because,
wonderful.
we try to function as a team and help each other out. And we do have a mailing list with a great number of churches within Pitt County that are on there. Yes, ma'am.
Seemed like there was a committee established relating to foster children or something one time. Has that committee met, or am I
Not regarding holiday cheer, there's never been a committee.
I mean, it was
for that.
foster care. It has to do with a foster care. Aren't those the children that are put in a home?
Maybe it was something else specific, but holiday cheers for us foster children has always stood alone. We didn't have a committee working on that.
Wasn't there a committee at some point established, George, relating to foster care? And, because I remember you guys
think
put
you-
me on it.
Yeah, I think you were on it.
Mary, you're probably talking about our recruitment and retention in foster care under our wings. Yeah.
Okay, well, what happened to that committee?
We had met for a solid year, launched.
I never got a notice. It's bad to be on a committee and never get notified. Who's in charge of that committee?
There is a coordinator, it's not myself, but there is a coordinator for that committee. And if you would like to see me after the meeting, you know, we can discuss it, and I'll
Well, I
definitely
wanna
get
know
you
about it.
information.
That's foster care is a very serious thing with me.
It really is.
And to have met a whole year and serve on a committee and representing the board on this committee, and I never received a notice. I find it not only disrespectful, but really bad.
Okay, well, we can talk about that, and I can put you in contact with the person who coordinates that.
Not that I want to do a holler work, but when I accept something,
Right.
I want to do what I say I'm going
Right.
to do.
And I'll make sure, I'll personally make sure that you get the information that you need so that, you know, you can be contacted for anything regarding that. And also, I'd just like to take this opportunity to mention that in your board packets, there was something that stated that this month, November, is National Adoption Awareness Month. So
I got mine
the
on.
wearing of the white ribbon symbolizes our support for adoption. And like I said, it's National Adoption Awareness Month, so not just here in Pitt County. So I thank everyone for their support for the work we do with getting our children adopted. Yes,
May I
sir.
make the motion? I'd like to get a motion on this being Adoption Awareness Month.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we submit a resolution for the Adoption Awareness Month.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. This is officially
Let's
Adoption
pass it
Awareness.
down,
Sure. There we
since
go.
you've already signed it.
I'm a quick
thank
signer. Okay, cute. Okay. Let me go back.
I need to go back up. Need to go back up first.
Okay.
We've skipped an item, so
We
you
skipped
just
an
go
item.
back up and then get back.
And then
to
we're gonna
others.
get to you. Okay. Myself and Mary Perkins went to the NCSSA Institute, which is on the, for the Board of Social Services and people that work for boards of social services. It was a very interesting meeting because it gave us a lot of information on what other counties are doing with social services. Most important was some of the techniques that they're using to make some changes and to deal with those changes. In particular, some of the NC Fast issues that came up, and people had various ideas about how that was going, and there was a difference between several groups. The other issues, the other things that we saw that were very interesting was the use of cross-training various supervisors, some of the triage of things that they're doing, as well as some of the things that are board responsibilities and how we, as a board, are changing, and the responsibilities that we have are changing. So hopefully in the coming months, we'll be putting some of those into action. All right.
This is what the, since you didn't go, this is what the training session was titled in the book that it was in. The exchange of information and idea, as Johnny said, throughout the county, was really an enlightenment. And it may be something that this organization need to look at, cross-training of administrators, cross-training of supervisors, because our staff is cross-trained now. They are doing different things down, and our supervisors are comfortably sitting in their same positions. Now, if you're going to the thought was, if you're going to supervise someone who's cross-trained, how can you fully answer their question as a supervisor, and you are unaware of the type of cross-training and the information they have. So it would be nice that we look into this, George, and bring it up at some time for our supervisors to become cross-trained as well as the staff, fully cross-trained.
Our supervisors are working on becoming cross-training in the income maintenance program, where we have our work support strategies, where we have our workers doing Medicaid and food and nutrition service. So we have set up a training lab in this building where the supervisors come in with the workers, and they're learning the different programs along with the workers at the same
I
time.
think they're calling it universal training.
We call it work support strategies, but a universal worker.
But it's universal.
It's called a universal worker, where the worker is responsible for doing all the programs.
Okay, that was a very interesting topic as board members when we shared that information. And so I probably need to know a little bit about what kind of universal training they're doing. But it was a very interesting session, and a very intense one for not only the board, but also the staff.
What I found very interesting as a psychologist was how to deal with some of the changes of cross-training that people have been doing something for a very long time, and to make those changes as well as to now have to interface with a computer is kind of unsettling for some people, and some of the hints they gave with how to help people adjust to those kinds of things were very good and very enlightening. Okay. Were there any questions about anything? Okay. All right, next we're gonna move on to the technology report. It is Hardik Patel?
Hardik Patel.
Okay, Hardik Patel.
Good
Okay.
afternoon. It's a pleasure to be in front of you, giving a update of the technology progress that we've made within DSS. As you can see from your board package, we have had a number of projects listed. And what I would like to do this afternoon is just give you a glimpse of the successes and projects that we're working on. To begin with, Communicator is an application that we use to manage the worker information for shelter duty. With the help of Susan May, we have been able to update all the information in there, so the staff information for contacting during an emergency is updated. The next one is the vServe application, the application that was developed by me to help the DSS management track client and customer complaints and to be able to address them as needed. That application is now in production and is being actively used by the supervisors and the staff to enable them to better serve the clients. The next one is the NC Fast update, where MIS has been helping the DSS management and the supervisor staff to take advantage of the NC Fast application and to ensure that that they're able to use the application. We've increased the bandwidth as of July this year. We are working diligently with the DSS staff to keep up with the ever-changing NC Fast requirements. We're working with the staff on an individual level to address any technological needs that they might have, address those concerns. We're also working to keep the third-party plugins tested and updated to ensure that all NC Fast modules and all NC Fast screens are up and running for the staff to use. We're also working with the supervisors to help them set up, for example, the training lab, to make sure that they have the technological environment set up for them to do all the necessary trainings that they need to do for NC Fast, for example, the cross-training lab. Another update is for the LEAP program. I am working with the DSS management team and Buildings and Grounds to make sure that we have the technology in place so that DSS can administer that program from the new location. So we have the hardware and all the connectivity components will be up and running by 18th of this month, so we can test it to ensure that come December 1st, the applications will be able to go through as far as the technology piece goes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
There was something that came out about Microsoft not supporting something as of December. Are you aware of it?
You mean the operating system? Are you
Yeah.
talking about Microsoft XP?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of that, and we're actively working to make sure that we are in compliance with that, because that is not only DS departmental-wise, it's also county-based. So it's more of a management. Yes, sir.
You work with the supervisors and the employees on technology. What percentage of you think of your employees that we have here in the Department of Social Services are up and are familiar with the crossover as far as technology is concerned?
I think that's a great question, but from my perspective, I believe the DSS management and the supervisors would be a better judge of it, because they are the ones working with them on a daily basis. I come in when they have a technology need, when they have need to set something up. So I do not think I'm in the position to give you a good answer to that question, because it's more of a employee supervisor relationship and their work relation, the way it work.
I guess what I'm concerned with, and probably the supervisors are the ones, but on the crossover, and I know we haven't, it's the next, we'll be up very soon. On the crossover, then I would like to know what percent, I know it was given to me in October that we were hoping to have them being able to go to the food stamps and Medicaid, all of that. And I would like to know how we stand as far as this crossover into the technology. And I know we hired you primarily, I thought, to take and to assist in this operation, to make sure that the computers that Mike has and what social service has would be worked together so that we could fulfill that job, that skill.
I understand your question now. If you're concerned about the technology going forward,
Yes.
being compliant with the NC-FAST requirements, that is something that we're diligently working to make sure that NC-FAST requirements are something that are met on a day-to-day basis.
Well, how would, and I know nothing really about it, but in your line of work, how do you think we're doing?
As far as the technology is
Yes.
concerned, I believe we have made leaps and bounds as compared to what we were before, in making sure that we have everything understood as to what NC-FAST requires and as to our capability and what we need to do to meet their requirements.
How do we stack up with it?
We're doing pretty good.
In terms of the other counties?
In terms of the other counties, we're
Yeah,
doing.
that's it. And as far as what Raleigh is expecting of us here in Pitt County, and as far as our serving the citizens of here in Pitt County, so that we don't, fall way behind.
Mr. James, if I can respond to that. In talking
Okay.
to Mike Taylor, who's our MIS director, also deputy county manager, he assures me that the technology within DSS, whether hardware, software, bandwidth, and so forth, meets the minimum requirements to interact with the NC-FAST program. And as things change in Raleigh, if the change is required here locally, that his staff, such as Hardik Patel, are responding to that. But he assures me that there's should be little to nothing that would keep us from being able to respond in terms of implementing the requirements of NC-FAST. If there are new things that come down, we respond to them by procuring those and putting those into place.
I guess what, Scott, I want to know too, do you meet with Mike daily pertaining to the problems that we have here into that? Will you
From the
meet?
NC-FAST?
Yes.
Do I
in the
update
computer,
Mr. Taylor?
yes.
I do keep him in the loop as to what is
So
happening.
he knows what's
Yes, sir.
going on. Okay.
Yes, he is aware
I don't
of
have
what
it.
happens.
Hardik is assigned to DSS as their MIS technology resource. So he's in the department on a daily basis, but he does directly respond to Mr. Taylor and the supervisors within his department. So the chain of command goes back up into MIS, as well as it probably reports to somebody within DSS at the same time.
Yeah, I know that, and I know that's very important. There's nothing like communicating, and I think that might be one of the things, and we need him to be involved with what we are doing with our computer system here in social service.
Yes, sir.
We really do.
That means that the workarounds that comes out at the State Department are shared, and you are creating something that,
Well, Ms. Williams, if I can respond to that, and the staff can jump in here too, but the workarounds are more workarounds that are directed to the social worker to implement the NCFAS software in terms of when they take in the client data and how you process it within the system. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
It's really not it wouldn't be a Harder-Patel issue in terms of how to work the NC software.
so most process.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Well, I know I'm way behind, I know that. That's the big disadvantage in getting old, I think.
well, anytime when you roll out a new system, there are gonna be quirks, kinks, bugs, and frogs.
I think, Mr. James, when you talk about crossover, you're mainly talking about where Medicaid and Food and Nutrition
Yeah.
Service applications are being taken by one worker. We are doing that in the system. So when a client come in to apply for Food and Nutrition Service, and then if she elects to apply for Medicaid, that one worker take the application.
Yeah.
So we have already started that process.
Yeah, that's a-
And I think when you say crossover, you're mainly looking
Yeah.
at one person taking the
Yeah,
application for all
that's what I wanted
programs.
to know, what percentage
Yes.
of our employees
We are doing that.
capable of taking and doing this very thing.
They
that
have
you
an
just
intake
suggested.
unit, that's their main function, to take applications
Okay.
for all programs when the client come in.
I have two questions. I get maybe 3 to 4 emails a day about NCFAS and changes, patches, things that have been lost, that things aren't working and they're doing something about it. Tell me something about how that is being handled by our system, because some of it seems very major, because others seem not as major, but when I read that X amount of data has been lost and has to be put back in, that raises a concern for me, because what that means is that worker has to re-input that information or re-interview a client, which slows the process up. So I'm wondering what you're thinking about those number of emails. Are you getting those emails as well?
I do get the emails. I am
And
on
you
that
understand
list.
them?
I sometimes understand it because
Yeah, I just see, well, I know when there's certain colors, it means something. And it had to have had a tremendous effect on the NCFAS implementation.
I agree, and it's again going back to what Mr. Elliott said. It's more geared towards the staff and telling them how to process something in the application, because as the county goes, we do not have control over the application or the data, because everything is stored at the state side. And so the only thing we can do as MIS is ensure that the connectivity is updated and that all the requirements that NCFAS requires from the counties as far as the technology concern is there. Now, as far as the emails go on how to fix something in the application, that is more geared towards the business process and not the technology.
Well, I guess one of the things that I would be concerned about is that when information was inputted, it was input into whatever program, and if you change it, one, I would assume that some of the hardware and some of the software would have to be able to take those changes, because some of them are major in terms of the re-inputting information and using this format versus this format versus others, and how things have been lost. And that was a concern of mine, because I'm getting so many of them.
And that's where, again, the application is something that we do not have control over. So if,
Okay.
If there's something that's incorrect with the application, the state will be the one to handle those errors, those application errors. But as far as ensuring that the staff has the ability to enter that information in there, having a computer that's running, having an internet connection that is up and has, but it's applicable, is what we can do. As far as, those emails, we do not have
What
much.
I was saying is that when the state said, these are the kinds of requirements that are going to be needed to run this program. And when they come out with the fixes and the patches, that maybe those fixes and patches may not work as well with the state requirements. And that's what I was concerned about, that they're asking the counties to do things, and not the information, but the computers were not purchased with those kinds of things in mind.
And again, that's where we're trying to work diligently with NCFAS to make sure that any updates that they make to their requirements, to their technology requirements, is what we try to maintain
So
to
the
get to that level.
technology then has been able to handle all the fixes and patches that they've been
Emerges.
requesting?
Yes.
That's it, okay. The other thing is, this is a pet issue for me, is where are we in terms of getting the Child Protective Services file computerized? How are we doing with that?
Well, what I would ask is maybe Ms. Dixon can take that answer because of NCFAS and the plans for rolling out the application. I believe we've looked at some vendor applications as well, and she might be able to give you a better answer.
We know that, we hear that NCFAS for child welfare is somewhere down the line, 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. But we had a couple projects that we were looking at, and we decided to put them on hold. In the meantime, we have engaged Northwoods Consulting to come in, and they began working with us in July to do a comprehensive review and a strategic analysis to address the challenges that were facing us and our current business practices in child welfare. So we've been working on that since July. We have gotten our first draft of that analysis, kind of to show they've been through, turned over every rock, and so, I mean, we know everything backwards and forwards in terms of how much it costs to copy paper. So it's a very interesting study that I'd like to share with you at some time, but it will be very help us in terms of where we are now, what happens if we do nothing between now and NCFAS. It just comes forth with some recommendations. So we'd like to finish that and continue working on that, and possibly in January make a presentation on that. Some of the
Because what I was saying is that if we're still looking at child abuse cases in the index card system, that is very slow and very inefficient. And I know we had been working on that, and certainly that's something that I'm
Well, we've tried to put that on hold and finish this review, because sometimes you can just say, well, okay, this is a nagging little problem, like the card system, and yes, it is a nagging little problem, but all of it's connected in the way we do everything. So I really wanted to get an aerial view of our business practices in child welfare overall, so that we could just appropriately pick a starting point and some projects that might have some value, instead of just picking and choosing one to put a Band-Aid on something, and really get a strategic plan going forward. So we wanted to finish this process first before we put any energies of Hardix into a kind of a sidebar project.
And Margaret, it goes back to your personnel a great deal. And I think on this patch, we're working with two things. I think we need to get those going before we add more on to it. That the ladies or the gentleman that came from Raleigh, they said one state was doing all of them at one time. But it's the people that you have there, that you've trained, that are able to take and to do those particular jobs. I believe it is. And what I think we need to do on the FAFSA, you got to get that. And once we get that, we're hoping our people will be in a position that they can then add these others.
Well, I think that's true. I guess my concern is that we're still very slow in processing and being able to evaluate if there has been a report of abuse or neglect of a child. and our system for doing it is very slow and antiquated. And so that it's very hard for a worker to find out if a complaint has been made. And that was my concern.
I think that was one of the issues that came out in one of the child fatality reviews around technology, but I will tell you that will be part of this whole report, okay? There are some issues that, if we continue in the mode that we are, will make it more difficult as time goes on for us to meet our statutory responsibilities. But again, you know, I would rather wait until you can read the whole thing. So, I mean, these issues
That'll
are,
be like in January, you think?
we'd like to do it in January, yes.
All right.
I'm just amazed at how far behind certain departments are as it relates to innovation and creativity as far as computer and updating. Cards nowadays, as long as we've had computers in this county, is a bit much, you know. It's about like having a card catalog nowadays, and you got card catalog and you can talk all across the world and know what all libraries have. So I can't understand why we seem to be so outdated as far as data, information sharing and process. It's hard for me to grasp all of that. But if we wait on this, we're going to be just as behind as we are with other things, and the rollout is going to be just as messy. And we're yet to find out what's going to happen with Medicare, Medicaid, and all that coming up. And to wait for something without looking into it and at least approaching it is, I think, not a good way to pursue it.
I'm hoping that overall report in January will kind of look at a lot of these things and put them in perspective and come up with some recommendations and things.
I just want to speak to the comment that you made. I don't want anybody to have the impression that our card catalog prevents us from initiating abuse, neglect, and dependency cases within a statutory timeframes, because it does not, so.
Well, what it does, it slows it up, because you can't go to a computer and get that information. Somebody has to physically look through those cards.
Absolutely.
And that's my concern, that with
You can have an indexing system on a computer.
You can't, so it slows it up. We've been able to do that, and that's
Well,
thanks
we
to-
concur with your concerns.
Yeah.
So,
Sure, okay, all right, well, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Audit. Okay, all right, let's see. Next, we're gonna go to the director's report.
Leah.
Oh, Leah.
Leah, we're gonna
Leah.
skip Gwen today.
That'll be fine.
That will be fine, okay, all right.
No. The low-income energy assistant program is that time again. This is the LEAP program, and it provides a one-time annual vendor payment to eligible families to help with the heating assistance. Currently, the program, the applications will be taken starting December 1st through March 31st, December 1st, 2013 through March 31st, 2014, or until funds are exhausted. When the funds are exhausted for the LEAP program, the program will end. The county now mails the heating assistant checks directly to the vendor, whether you mailing it to Greenville Utilities or to a gas company or whatever your heating source is. That check now goes directly to the vendor and does not go to the client. Benefit amounts are based on the household size and the income. The total funds for this year are approximately $1,136,927. We have twice as much funding for this program as we had last year. Last year, we had $509,783. As last year, we also have a target group or a priority group for the beginning of dispensing of these funds. So citizens age 60 and over and who are disabled and receiving services through the Division of Aging and Adult Services can apply December 1st, 2013 through January 31st, 2014. So you have a 2-month period where citizens 60 and above or who are disabled can apply. And disabled persons are defined as receiving SSI, SSA, or VA disability. Applicants who fall outside of this priority group can apply beginning February 1, 2014 through March 31st, 2014, or until funds are exhausted. Starting February 1, anyone can apply for the program. That's what that means. Now, income verification is a must for all applicants. Those applying will need verification of all income received the month prior to the date of their application. This includes wages, the gross amount of your Social Security benefits, gross amount of any retirement you receive, child support and contributions received from anyone outside of your home, any other income you may receive, the name, the date, birth certificates, and Social Security numbers of all household members. We need proof of how you heat your home. We need the name and the address of your provider and your account number and everyone who lives under your roof. Now, everything that I just said is already on our DSS website. So you can go to the DSS website, and prior to coming in to make an application, you can see everything that you need to bring with you in order to apply for the program. This year, the program is being moved off-site of DSS. We will be located in the old Strive building, which is located at 1710 West 6th Street, which is just up the street from the county office building. We are again partnering with Pitt County Council on Aging. You can also make an application at Pitt County Council on Aging, which is located at 4551 County Home Road. Now, you can call DSS and you can inquire about the LEAP program. And this is the number. It is 902-1110. And the folks at our front desk at DSS will have all the information you will need about LEAP, where to apply, what you will need to apply, and those kinds of things. So they will be able to answer general questions that you might have about the program. We are also advertising through the TV stations, radio stations, and our public information office, Kiara, has sent out public notices to all the surrounding townships and municipalities, as well as the TV and radio station. In fact, I got a call from one of the TV stations today. So you can find your information on the DSS website if you want to look at and read any of the information that I've given you today about the program.
I really, last year, really liked your publicity campaign that you used for the program, and seemed like it worked pretty well. You went to a lot of different places, so that was really, really a good job. Okay. Anybody have any other discussion? Okay. We're gonna move, and we have more money, which will hopefully.
You didn't even need the money.
Sure she did.
Yes, it is.
Sure she did.
But you.
Oh. How many more people do you think we'll be able to serve?
Yeah.
with the
Well,
extra
last
money?
year we served 2,007 people during that time frame, and we gave out of money on March 6th of last year. The program, I foresee this year running through March 31st, probably, based on how we've spent money in the past, because we have twice as much money as this year as we had last year. We are happy to move the program off-site because now the folks that are applying for the crisis intervention program, and it is the time of year where that program, more people are coming in for that program. We're hoping that the crowds will be less at the Human Service Center by moving it to West 6th Street.
How many people we did not serve last year, you think, that you had application? Do you know? Is that a hard question?
That's a hard question because we can only go based on the applications that were done. We did have 279 folks denied last year that were not eligible, and 2,007 that were eligible.
That's not bad.
Right.
What we try to stress with individuals is as long as we have funds, so the individuals need to bring in all the documentation, because if we have to hold the application, the funds could run out before we process.
So they need to bring all the
Right.
documentation on
Everything
first
first.
time show.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, okay. Next, we're gonna go to the director's report.
On NCFAS update and backlog report, I would just like to thank Wayne Black and Dean Simpson for coming. They came and presented to the Board of County Commissioners on NCFAS, and I think it was an outstanding presentation that they did look at overall at all the counties and where we were and what we have done to get where we are at the present time. At the present time, we do not have a backlog in food and nutrition service, but we are in the process of now working on our redeterminations, which is for family, children Medicaid, adult Medicaid, and working on our applications. We have issues in those areas that we're trying to get everything worked out there. We have put together a sustainability group, which is made up of supervisors and lead workers and workers. The process that we're using is that whatever we do, we need to be able to sustain it, because the temporary help that we have is only here for a time period. And we need to be able to move beyond that time period to make sure that whatever we have in place, we can be able to continue, that we do not get behind. So that's our whole focus, is trying to get everything current and up and running, our redetermine, our reviews, making sure that people are getting their benefits timely. We know that we're in the process of moving into family, children Medicaid and Medicaid around January at some point in time. So we working diligently to get that done. So we have set a time frame to accomplish that we're working with staff on that. So we looking good. Staff has been very helpful and working on those different projects that we have in place. I would just like to say that on our backlog and food and nutrition service, that the whole division did an outstanding job in meeting the mandates, getting the work done. So we just like to commend them for that. And our main focus now is to make sure that we are able to continue to get those redeterminations on time, of which we have been able to do that. Basically, what we're doing on our redeterm is making sure that we process everything before their eating date. If you eat on November the 3rd, then we make sure we get that case done before somebody eating on November the 21st. So we wanted to make sure we do the cases on the eating date, because if you eating on the 21st and we process yours before November the 3rd, it hasn't done anything to help that person on November the 3rd. So we're working on that. Our goal is to get a month. So when we're working in December, we'll actually be working on January. So we're in that process of trying to get all those things worked out. And staff is working diligently to meet those things and keep the client's benefits coming timely.
I had talked to Wayne Black about what he felt that we had done as a county, and he was fairly favorable about what we had done as a county, and that you had done a good job in terms of dealing with a lot of the changes with that program.
Who's doing a good job?
George Perry here.
Well, that could be a matter of opinion.
What was that, Ms. Perry?
Never mind, that was a sidebar there.
Okay, we're gonna go down to
Okay,
agency
and
personnel.
if we look at the status of agency personnel, we have 18 positions vacant at the present time. We have 4 frozen positions, 2 of them as a result of 2 promotions that were just done on November the 10th. Both of those are public information assistants 4. They are receptionists. They're still helping out in the reception area as we move forward. We have backgrounds, 3 positions that has been filled since the last time. We're working on some background checks to come in, some screening. So we have done an outstanding job in moving forward. If you look at it, we have filled 3 positions since the last time. 2 are internal promotions, and 1 is Ms. Alma Weatherton, which we coming in as an income maintenance caseworker 2 and a worker against. So she does not have experience for the full classification. I'd just like to thank Mr. Elliott for working with us on getting the positions unfrozen that we
I was
can.
getting ready to say, we don't have as many frozen
Yeah.
positions I've seen in the past, and that's a positive.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see in this report, when you promote internally, are these people just coming to the agency, or are they,
The 2 that was promoted, they have been here a while.
they've been here a while?
Yeah, I can't say.
Because morale,
Yeah.
when you've been here as long as Hamilton been here, and then I reach up and you just came last year, and then I promote you over Johnny, that might not feel too good.
Well, what we tried to, when people apply, we try to hire the best person for the job. So, and sometimes people that been here a long time, they don't even apply because they love what they're doing. It's a matter of people enjoying what they're doing. And sometimes, even if you got a vacant position, it might not be in the area that they're interested in, and they will wait until something comes up that they really interested in applying for.
As long as best person for the position it has different meaning. What I want to say is that if you are telling me that I've been, John has been here a long time, doesn't give him knowledge base for the system more than you who just got here, and you don't learn whatever, it does not make people, understand what I'm saying?
I think,
I'm talking about best practice
I think one of the things.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah, probably,
Because-
some of this, we might need to go into closed session
Well,
for,
I
perhaps.
can add, no, I think you're fine, you're not hinging on any personnel. But I think in terms of best person versus most qualified person, in Ms. Williams, in your case where if Dr. Hamilton had been here a year, and Mr. Perry had been here 10 years, Dr. Hamilton, even though he may have been here only a year, he may have came from a jurisdiction where he had 15 years of experience in another DSS department, where he may be more qualified, even though he's only been here 1 year. Now, we would hope that we would be able to promote from within and reward based upon tenure, but that's not always the case. We're, like Mr. Perry said, we're always looking to get the most qualified person in there in the position.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, that we do look at that and that we do consider that. That's what I'm trying to say. That keeps morale in a good state.
We try to hire from within. If you look at like promotions, lateral transfers, those are within. And then you have the telephone report. You can see that it has, switchboard has gone down. And total overall, we have gone down 14,000. Oh, you didn't get?
I didn't see that.
Oh.
I don't have one.
Okay.
I do go through my, I
Okay.
do go
I'm
through my
sorry.
stuff. That one I don't have.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
thank you.
Where you can see that we have decreased in our calls coming in. Hopefully, as we transition and get everything current, that we will see less and less calls coming in.
That's something we had that up and down month.
Yeah, we
Sure.
have, you know, it's gonna fluctuate up and down basically because as we
Increase and
transition
decrease.
into different things, NC Fast is gonna be an ongoing project. Then we're gonna move into family and children Medicaid, adult Medicaid. So you can see a transition backwards and forwards on that.
All right, well. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Perry? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I'd like to make the motion that we go into closed session, and I'd like to also invite two people on the podium here, the two on the end. You know, I can't even call his name right now. Scott! And attorney, whatever her name is. See, I'm so bad with names.
Janice Gallagher.
Janice Gallagher, and I think Miss.
As well as
Miss
Sylvia.
Miss Johnson.
Okay. Motion has been made and has been made. Is there a second? Okay, motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed?
So we got a reading.
Okay.
North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 regarding closed sessions. Section A, permitted purposes. It is the policy of this state that closed session shall be held only when required to permit a public body to act in the public interest as permitted in this section. A public body may hold a closed session and exclude the public only when a closed session is required. Also, item number 1, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes.
And also subsection 6 under the same statute.
6 of the same statute.
Okay. Welcome back. We're now in open session. I'd like to get a motion to accept the program integrity report.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
And I second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I move that we accept the retirement that has been presented to us by our director at this time.
Okay.
I move that in the form of a motion.
All right.
And I second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No? Okay. Like to thank you, Mr. Perry, for your services, and I know you look forward to your retirement. I hope things work well for you.
Mr. Chairman, just to add clarity,
Yes.
Mr. Perry's retirement, he announced, is not effective until the end of January of
Yes.
2014.
Yes, the
Put
retirement.
that in there, if you will, in the motion.
I will.
guess.
Okay.
Got that.
That the motion will, that Mr. Perry's retirement will be effective January 31st, 2014. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made in second. All those in favor, say aye.